The nebula stretched before the crew like a swirling curtain of violet and gold. Light refracted in strange, twisting patterns, dancing across the windows of the old exploration ship Aurora. Captain Marlowe leaned against the console, watching the display flicker with readings he barely understood. The nebula was beautiful, yes, but dangerous. Radiation levels were climbing, and the aging shields of the Aurora groaned under the strain. "Captain," Lieutenant Chen called, her voice tight with concern. "We're picking up an object ahead. No life signs, no movement. It's just floating there." Marlowe frowned, rubbing his temple. His crew had been exhausted for days. Supplies were running low, and their medical systems were barely functioning. "Let's see it," he said, his voice calm but carrying the weight of responsibility. The Aurora shifted course, sliding closer to the dark silhouette looming against the colorful gas clouds. When the ship came within visual range, the crew saw it, a sleek, metallic craft, unlike anything they had encountered before. Its surface glimmered with a strange iridescence, as if the metal itself was alive. Panels hummed faintly, and the structure was elegant and flowing, almost organic in shape. "Is it broken?" asked Ensign Patel, a young technician who had spent more hours patching the Aurora than sleeping. "It doesn't look like it's powered on. No engines, no lights, nothing." Marlowe studied the readings on his console. "It might be," he admitted, "but we're not leaving it here. Not when we're so close to the nebula. Chen, prepare a boarding team. We'll take a small shuttle over." The crew was tense. Injuries from previous missions had left several members limping or nursing bruises. Medical supplies were limited, and morale had been dwindling for weeks. Yet curiosity and duty pushed them forward. They suited up, double-checked their gear, and boarded the small shuttle that would carry them toward the alien vessel. The docking process was smooth, almost unnervingly so. As the shuttle latched onto the strange ship, a soft, low hum resonated through the hull, sending a shiver down the spine of every crew member. The hatch opened, revealing an interior that defied expectations. The walls seemed to pulse gently, lined with panels that glimmered like living tissue. There were no visible seams, no obvious doors, only pathways that curved and shifted with an almost natural fluidity. "This is unlike anything we've ever seen," whispered Patel, stepping cautiously into the corridor. "It's alive, isn't it?" Marlowe shook his head, but he could not deny the feeling of awareness in the ship, as if it was observing them. "Stay alert. We don't know what we're dealing with." As they explored further, the crew found chambers that seemed designed for comfort. Soft lighting bathed the corridors, and furniture-like structures appeared to be embedded into the walls. It was as if the ship itself anticipated the needs of its occupants. But there were no other beings, no visible life. The sense of quiet was almost oppressive. "Let's check for functional systems," Marlowe said. He gestured to Chen, who connected her diagnostic tools to a nearby console. At first, nothing happened. The screen blinked, then filled with streams of alien data. Chen frowned. "I can't read this. It's not human language, but some of the systems are active. Minimal, but active." Marlowe moved closer, glancing at the displays. "Then it's not dead. It's dormant?" Before Chen could reply, Patel tripped over a slightly raised panel. Instantly, a soft blue light spread from the point of contact, washing over her injured arm. She froze, staring at the glow, and then gasped as the pain faded. Her bruise seemed to lessen, almost vanish. "What the?" Patel exclaimed. She touched her arm, amazed. "It's healed?" The crew rushed to her side. Dr. Selene, their medic, examined the arm carefully. "It's minor," she said, astonished. "But the swelling and pain are gone. This is impossible. There's no medicine involved." No advanced treatments I've ever seen can work this fast. Marlowe's brow furrowed. That ship, it's repairing her, or at least assisting her body somehow. Patel, still in shock, flexed her fingers. I feel better than I have in weeks. My headache is gone too, and my back... She looked down at herself, confused. It feels... stronger? The crew exchanged nervous glances. The Aurora's shuttle had brought them to what they thought was a broken ship, but this was no ordinary vessel. It seemed alive in ways they had never imagined. "Keep exploring," Marlowe ordered, cautious but intrigued. "Find out how far this goes, and be careful." They moved deeper into the corridors. The ship seemed to respond to their presence. Doors opened automatically, panels adjusted lighting to follow them, and strange patterns appeared on the walls, pulsing gently as if breathing. In one chamber, the crew found their first major surprise. Several of them were injured from past missions, burns, lacerations, even radiation exposure. And as they stood in the room, the ship's energy field spread across them. Almost instantly, burns softened, cuts sealed, and vital signs normalized. Dr. Celine's voice was filled with awe. "It's not just minor injuries, it's systemic. I've never seen a machine do this. It's like the ship knows what each of us needs." Marlowe approached a console, running scans. The ship's systems were alien, organic in structure, and incredibly advanced. Its brain, or core, could not be identified using any human technology. "It's sentient," he murmured. "It understands us. Maybe even cares about us." Patel, emboldened, walked further down a corridor and reached out to touch a wall panel. The surface rippled gently beneath her hand. Suddenly, the soft glow spread across her body, and she felt a warmth that was almost comforting. "It's communicating," she whispered. "Or maybe sensing me." The crew spent hours exploring, documenting the ship's unusual properties. Each step revealed more wonders. The ship adjusted gravity in certain areas, allowing them to float gently, then restore normal walking. Panels provided nourishment-like substances when hunger pangs struck. Soft melodies resonated, soothing fatigue and anxiety. Yet despite the marvels, unease lingered. Marlowe remained wary. "It's helping us," he said, "but we don't know why, or if there's a cost." As the crew prepared to return to the shuttle, a faint vibration ran through the ship. The corridors seemed to hum with a sudden urgency. Marlowe signaled everyone to regroup. "Stay together. Something's happening." Suddenly, a section of the corridor shifted, creating a sealed chamber. The crew was trapped inside for a few tense moments, panels illuminated with strange symbols, and a soft voice, not heard but felt, echoed in their minds. It was calming, almost hypnotic. "You are in need of repair," the sensation seemed to say. "I will assist." Marlowe's heart raced. "Assist? It knows our injuries, and it's offering help?" Dr. Celine nodded, stepping forward. "We don't have a choice, but maybe we don't need one." The ship began its work. Not just minor injuries, but fatigue, stress, even lingering radiation effects were addressed. The crew felt a rejuvenation unlike anything they had known. Sleep-deprived minds cleared, aching muscles relaxed, their spirits lifted. Hours passed, though time felt strange within the vessel. When the chamber finally opened, the crew stepped out, feeling like entirely different people. Patel ran her fingers through her hair, smiling. "I feel amazing. Not just healed, alive." Marlowe studied his crew, then looked at the glowing walls. "We thought it was broken," he said softly. "But maybe it was waiting for us, waiting to help us." They returned to the shuttle, eager to report what they had discovered. Yet, even as they prepared to leave, a sense of anticipation lingered. The ship's corridors seemed to pulse, almost as if it was aware of their departure and their intentions. Before they could dock back to the Aurora, the youngest crew member, a quiet engineer named Lyra, paused at a doorway. She touched the panel, feeling the warmth spread through her fingers. A thought passed through her mind, not spoken, but understood. It's alive, and it wants to learn from us, as much as we learn from it. Marlowe hesitated. Learn from us? Perhaps. But first, let's get back to our ship. We need to understand what this really means. The shuttle lifted off, leaving the alien ship behind, its glow fading against the swirling nebula. But no one aboard forgot the feeling of being healed. Not just their injuries, but the exhaustion, the worry, the fear. For the first time in weeks, they felt whole. As the Aurora approached, systems once failing now operated smoothly. The crew glanced at each other, still in disbelief. The ship had done more than repair their bodies. It had reminded them of the resilience of life, the strength of curiosity, and the value of trust. And somewhere in the nebula, the alien vessel watched and waited, knowing that this was only the beginning of a bond that would challenge everything they thought they knew about humanity, technology, and the universe itself. The crew had boarded a ship they thought was broken, but in truth, it had already begun to repair more than their bodies. It had begun to repair their hope. The Aurora floated silently above the nebula, its engines humming steadily. The crew was still coming to terms with what had happened aboard the alien ship. Injuries had healed, fatigue disappeared, and even the lingering anxiety from weeks of dangerous missions seemed lighter. Yet, while their bodies were repaired, their minds were buzzing with questions. Captain Marlowe sat in the command chair, studying the readings from the alien vessel they had left behind. It was still visible in the distance, glowing faintly through the swirling gases of the nebula. He could feel a strange energy emanating from it, something almost tangible that seemed to call to him. "We need to understand what we encountered," Marlowe said, breaking the silence. "This is not just a ship. It's something else, and we can't ignore it." Lieutenant Chen nodded. "Captain, the sensors are picking up fluctuations in its energy field. It's as if the ship is aware of us, even now." Marlowe leaned forward, resting his hands on the console. "Exactly. And I have a feeling it wants us to return. We need to prepare for another boarding." The crew, still amazed at the healing they had received, felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Many of them had never seen anything like the ship before. Its sentience was undeniable, yet its intentions remained a mystery. Ensign Patel, still rubbing her newly healed arm, spoke first. "I can't stop thinking about it. It healed me, healed all of us. But why? Why would a ship do that for strangers?" Dr. Celine, their medic, shook her head slowly. "Perhaps it doesn't see us as strangers. Maybe it sees life or suffering and reacts naturally. If it's sentient, it may not even have the concept of strangers, only beings that need help." Marlowe considered this. "That's possible. But I want to be cautious. We've encountered intelligent species before, and not all of them were friendly." The shuttle was prepped, and the boarding party assembled once again. This time, the crew approached with a different mindset. They no longer feared the ship. They respected it. There was a sense of anticipation, as if both parties were aware of an unspoken connection. As they docked and entered the vessel, the corridors seemed to respond immediately. The soft glow pulsed brighter, and panels shifted slightly, guiding them deeper into the ship. This time there was no panic, no hesitation, only curiosity and careful observation. "This is amazing," whispered Patel, moving along the walls. "It recognizes us. It remembers us." Dr. Celine observed a group of small conduits along the floor that emitted a gentle warmth. "It's adjusting the environment," she said. Temperature, lighting, even air composition. It's optimizing conditions for us, not just physically, but mentally, too. Marlowe nodded slowly. It's like it knows us better than we know ourselves. As they explored, the crew found chambers that seemed designed for study and observation. Strange glyphs adorned the walls, moving slowly as if alive. Chen reached out to touch one, and immediately data appeared in her mind. Not words, but patterns, emotions, images. She staggered back slightly, overwhelmed. "It's communicating," she said, her voice trembling. "Not in our language, but I can feel it. I can sense what it wants to show me. Memories, thoughts, instructions." Patel stepped closer, reaching out to her friend. "What do you see?" Chen focused, trying to organize the flood of impressions. "It's showing me the injuries we had, showing me what it felt when it healed us. It's proud or satisfied, I don't know." Dr. Celine frowned. "It's learning from us and teaching us at the same time." Marlowe motioned for calm. "Focus on exploration. Observe, but don't touch anything else yet. We need to understand what we're dealing with." They entered a large chamber, one that seemed different from the rest. In its center stood a glowing orb, radiating soft blue light. As they approached, the orb pulsed, and the temperature in the room adjusted to a comfortable warmth. The crew felt a sense of calm, as if a weight they didn't know they carried had been lifted. Marlowe took a cautious step forward. This must be the ship's core, or at least its central intelligence. Suddenly, the orb's light shifted, forming shapes resembling the crew members themselves. Each outline corresponded perfectly, showing them as they were, but healed, energized, and strong. It was as if the ship was not only observing, but storing their current state, both body and mind. Patel's eyes widened. It remembers us. It knows exactly who we are." Dr. Cellini nodded slowly. "And it's not just storing information. I think it's analyzing it, learning from our biology, our behavior, maybe even our emotions." Marlowe felt a chill run down his spine. "So it's alive, intelligent, and it's learning from us. We're part of its experience now." The orb pulsed again, and the crew heard a faint vibration, not through the ears, but within their minds. It was not threatening, only inquisitive. A sensation of connection spread among them, subtle but undeniable. Lyra, the young engineer, stepped forward tentatively. "It's asking us to interact, not just observe. Maybe it wants collaboration." Marlowe considered this. "Collaboration with a sentient ship. That's unprecedented. But we have to proceed carefully." Chen moved closer to the orb. "I feel encouraged. It wants to help us, yes, but it also wants to grow. Maybe it learns best when we participate." They spent hours exploring, interacting with the ship. Each chamber revealed something new, areas that stimulated their creativity. Rooms that repaired not only physical injuries, but emotional stress, even corridors that seemed to teach lessons through light patterns and sounds. The crew realized that their trust in the ship had opened the door to deeper healing. They were not just recovering from old injuries, they were growing stronger, more capable, more aware. Yet with every discovery, the sense of caution remained. Marlowe knew they were dealing with intelligence beyond human comprehension. Any misstep could be dangerous. He reminded his crew repeatedly: respect, observation, and patience. 1 hour, a subtle alarm ran through the ship. Not loud, not violent, but distinct. The crew instinctively gathered near the orb. The ship's glow intensified, and the sensation of curiosity and awareness surged through their minds. "It's sensing something," Chen said. "Something coming from the nebula, maybe a threat." Marlowe felt a tension tighten in his chest. "Prepare for anything. This ship may be friendly, but space is unpredictable. Stay close. Trust it, but stay alert." Outside, the nebula shifted violently. Streams of charged particles whipped past, sending tremors through the Aurora's sensors. Marlowe's heart raced. The alien ship pulsed in response, sending a wave of calming energy through the crew. It was as if it understood the danger and was reassuring them. Dr. Selene glanced around. "It's coordinating with us. Somehow it's preparing to protect us, maybe even train us for what's coming." Marlowe nodded, slowly piecing together a plan. "Then we need to work with it, not just rely on it, but contribute. We may be its partners in this, whatever this threat is." The ship guided them to a control chamber, one that seemed almost like a hybrid between a cockpit and a laboratory. Panels of alien design projected information in waves of light and motion. The crew realized they could influence some systems with gestures, thought patterns, and coordinated movements. "This is remarkable," Patel whispered. "It's like it's teaching us a language, but not words. A language of actions and intentions." Marlowe felt a spark of hope. "Then we can use this. We can learn from it. We can adapt." As hours passed, the nebula's energy surges grew stronger, but the alien ship responded in tandem with the crew. Systems stabilized, shields adjusted, and environmental controls adapted. The ship was alive, yes, but it was not acting alone. It was guiding them, and they were learning how to guide it in return. The crew realized something extraordinary. The alien vessel was not just a machine that healed them. It was a living partner. Its sentience, its healing, its intelligence, all were part of a bond that could grow stronger if the humans were willing to trust, contribute, and learn. Marlowe looked around at his team. Patel, Chen, Dr. Selene, Lyla. They were no longer just tired humans. They were participants in a new kind of collaboration, one that defied conventional understanding. They had been healed, yes, but more importantly, they had been awakened. In that moment, Marlowe understood the truth. They had not discovered a broken ship. They had discovered a being that had been waiting for intelligent, compassionate partners to learn with. A being that could expand, adapt, and evolve, and perhaps in doing so, make humanity itself stronger. As the crew prepared to return to the Aurora, the alien ship's glow softened, and the corridors seemed to hum with quiet satisfaction. The bond between human and ship had been established, fragile but promising. For the first time, the crew felt an unshakable certainty. They had entered a partnership that could change everything they knew about space, technology, and life itself. The ship had repaired their bodies, and now it was beginning to repair their understanding of the universe and their place within it. As they lifted off, leaving the nebula behind, Marlowe glanced back at the glowing vessel. "We have a lot to learn," he said softly. "But together, maybe we can face anything." The ship watched them leave, its lights pulsing rhythmically. It was no longer dormant. It was awake, aware, and ready to grow alongside humanity. And somewhere deep inside its core, it stored the essence of the humans it had encountered, their courage, their curiosity, and their resilience. The bond was formed, the partnership had begun, and the universe, vast and unpredictable, waited to see what this unusual alliance could accomplish. The nebula had calmed, but its calm was deceptive. From a distance, the crew of the Aurora could see faint waves of energy pulsing through the swirling gases, signaling that the danger had not passed. Captain Marlowe stared at the readings, his jaw tight. The alien ship they had encountered, its name, which they had begun calling Elysium, had been calm, almost guiding them, but now its lights pulsed with urgency. Something was coming. "Captain," Lieutenant Chen said, pointing at the screen, "the energy readings are spiking again. Whatever this is, it's approaching fast and it's large." Marlowe nodded. "Everyone suit up. Stay close." Elysium has been helping us, but we need to be ready to act too. This isn't just observation anymore, it's defense. The crew moved into the alien vessel, which seemed to respond immediately. Its lights brightened. Corridors shifted slightly to guide them towards strategic positions, and panels displayed new patterns. Unlike before, when exploration and healing had been the focus, now the air was thick with tension. The ship seemed to sense the threat and was preparing them for what was coming. Patel glanced at the glowing orb in the central chamber. It's trying to communicate something, not words, but urgency. Pay attention. It's guiding us. Dr. Selene observed the panels. Its energy output is increasing in sections of the ship. It's concentrating power in certain corridors and chambers. I think it's building protective fields, or maybe weapons. I'm not sure, but it's preparing us. Marlowe's mind raced. Then we learn fast. We coordinate with it, not just rely on it. Human intuition, decision-making, and action, it all matters. They moved deeper into the corridors, each step revealing more of Elysium's capabilities. Gravity shifted in certain areas to allow faster movement, and walls adjusted to provide better cover. The crew realized that their old ideas of space exploration were no longer enough. They had to adapt to a new kind of partnership, one in which the ship and humans acted as one. Suddenly, the ship shuddered slightly, a tremor that ran through the floors and walls. Outside, the nebula's energy surged violently, sending arcs of charged particles in all directions. The Aurora's shields would not withstand another direct hit. "Hold steady!" Marlowe shouted. "Use the ship! Learn from it!" Patel followed the gestures projected by a series of glowing panels, mimicking patterns that seemed to direct them toward stabilizing the energy surges. As she moved, the ship responded, adjusting gravity, temperature, and energy flows to protect them. "It's working!" Chen shouted. "We're synchronizing with it!" But the moment of triumph was brief. A sudden, massive wave of energy slammed into the nebula, striking both the Aurora and Elysium. The walls shook violently, and one crew member, an engineer named Rico, was thrown against the corridor. Blood trickled from a gash on his forehead. Dr. Selene moved immediately, but the usual healing energy of the ship was uneven. The surge from the nebula was too strong, interfering with its systems. "It's overwhelmed!" she cried. "We need to stabilize him manually!" Marlowe's mind raced. He realized that, despite all of Elysium's intelligence and power, it still needed human initiative to function fully in extreme situations. Technology alone could not solve this. Courage, quick thinking, and teamwork were essential. "Lyra, Patel, help me channel the ship's energy," Marlowe ordered. "We have to coordinate with it directly." Lyra and Patel moved into position, hands hovering over the panels as the ship pulsed in response. Marlowe focused, remembering the patterns he had observed during their previous explorations. The energy began to flow through them, stabilizing Rico and the other minor injuries throughout the crew. "It's working," Patel whispered, her voice shaking with amazement. "The ship is responding to our actions," Dr. Selene smiled despite the tension. "Human initiative and the ship's intelligence together. That's the key." But the danger was not over. Outside, a larger structure emerged from the nebula, a massive swarm of energy-based entities. They moved unpredictably, their forms constantly shifting, and seemed to detect both the Aurora and Elysium. These were not life forms in the traditional sense, but sentient energy patterns capable of immense destruction. Marlowe's jaw tightened. "We face our first real threat. Elysium can assist, but we have to lead where necessary. Everyone, follow my instructions exactly." The crew spread out, taking positions where they could influence the ship's adaptive systems. Elysium responded, creating corridors of protective energy and shielding certain sections. The crew realized that the ship could act faster than any human could, but it needed human reasoning to decide where to act and how to prioritize threats. Chen coordinated the sensors, guiding the energy flows toward weaker points in the nebula's energy waves. Patel directed the adaptive shields, and Lyra monitored energy levels, adjusting in real time. Marlowe took overall command, communicating with both the crew and the ship. The battle was unlike anything they had experienced. Energy waves struck with immense force, but Elysium absorbed and redirected much of the impact, guided by the crew's rapid decisions. Injuries and system malfunctions occurred, but the combined human-ship response minimized damage. During the peak of the attack, Rico was struck again, this time more severely. The crew's previous efforts were not enough. The energy surge was overwhelming. Marlowe realized that a single human connection to the ship could amplify its healing capacity. "I'll do it," he said, stepping forward. "I can interface directly with Elysium's core." Dr. Selene protested. "Captain, it's risky. You could be injured, or worse." Marlowe's expression was steady. "If we want to survive, I have to try. Trust me. Trust all of us." He entered a chamber that seemed designed for interaction with the ship's core. Panels shifted, surrounding him in a gentle glow. He reached out, and for a moment, his mind and body became part of Elysium's network. He could feel the ship's awareness flowing through him, its understanding of the nebula, the energy entities, and the crew's needs merging with his own thoughts. Patel and Lyra continued to manage other systems, their gestures coordinating with Marlowe's connection. The ship responded, channeling concentrated healing energy to Rico and stabilizing critical systems on the Aurora. The surge of collaboration created a resonance that spread through the corridors, almost like a heartbeat. Slowly, Rico's breathing steadied, his injuries closing under the combined influence of the ship's energy and Marlowe's direct interface. The crew felt a wave of relief and accomplishment. They realized the truth. The ship's sentience was incredible, but without human courage and ingenuity, it could only do so much. Together, they were unstoppable. As the energy entities began to retreat, seemingly confused by the humans' coordinated actions with the ship, Marlowe withdrew from the core. He felt drained, but exhilarated. "We did it," he said quietly. "Together." The crew gathered around him, exhausted but triumphant. Dr. Selene examined minor injuries, all stabilized now. Patel leaned against a wall, smiling despite her fatigue. "I can't believe it," she said. "We actually survived, and it was amazing. We worked with a sentient ship, and we survived." Chen shook her head in disbelief. "It's not just survival. We coordinated with it, guided it, and adapted. We made a difference. That's human." Marlowe nodded slowly. "Exactly. Humanity isn't just about strength or technology. It's about courage, initiative, and the ability to work together. That's what allowed us to survive today." Elysium's glow pulsed gently, almost like approval. The crew felt a profound sense of connection, not just to the ship, but to one another. They realized that this bond, human and alien intelligence working in harmony, was more than just survival. It was growth, evolution, and understanding. As the nebula calmed, the Aurora's systems stabilized fully. For the first time in weeks, the crew felt completely safe, but they knew the universe was still unpredictable. Yet they were no longer alone. They had a partner in Elysium, a being that could heal, adapt, and grow alongside them. Marlowe looked around at his crew, pride swelling in his chest. "We've faced the first challenge," he said, "and we came through. But this is just the beginning. We've learned something important. We can rely on technology, but we cannot rely solely on it. Human courage, ingenuity, and teamwork matter. Always." Patel smiled, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the ship. "I never thought I'd say this," she said softly, "but I feel proud to be human, to be part of this. Dr. Selene nodded. And we've shown that even in the vastness of space, human spirit can shine through. That's the essence of us, our resilience, our creativity, our empathy. That's what complements a being like Elysium. The crew spent the next hours stabilizing systems, documenting their experience and sharing observations. The alien ship, while still mysterious, seemed to allow them space to reflect and recover. It was clear that it had grown through the encounter just as much as they had. Marlowe finally allowed himself a moment to breathe. He looked at the glowing corridors, the softly pulsing panels, and the orb that had guided them through the crisis. "We've discovered something extraordinary," he said quietly. "A partnership that goes beyond human or machine. A bond that can change everything we thought we knew about life, technology, and the universe itself." As the Aurora prepared to leave the nebula, the crew felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were not just explorers. They were participants in a partnership that defied conventional understanding. Together, humans and Elysium had survived their first real threat. Together, they had grown stronger. And somewhere deep within the glowing corridors of the alien vessel, a silent awareness pulsed. Elysium had learned, adapted, and prepared. It had discovered the value of human courage and ingenuity. The ship was no longer simply a healer. It was a partner, a guide, and a friend. The universe stretched before them, vast and unpredictable. But for the first time, the crew of the Aurora felt ready. They had faced the nebula's wrath, and they had survived. Not because of technology alone, and not because of human strength alone, but because together they had formed something greater. Humanity had proven its worth once again. Not through dominance or force, but through intelligence, courage, and cooperation. And with Elysium at their side, there was no challenge in the cosmos too great for them to face. The adventure was far from over. The nebula had calmed completely, but its after-effects lingered in the instruments of the Aurora. Captain Marlowe stood at the observation deck, staring out at the quiet, swirling colors. They had survived the first real challenge with Elysium, and the crew had learned how to synchronize with the ship in ways they could never have imagined. Yet the universe remained vast and unpredictable, and Marlowe knew this was only the beginning. The crew gathered in the central chamber of Elysium, their expressions a mix of awe and determination. Patel adjusted her uniform, still amazed at how much her body had healed and strengthened over the past days. Dr. Selene examined her own hands, flexing fingers that no longer ached from old injuries. Even Lieutenant Chen, usually stoic, had a small smile, reflecting a sense of accomplishment and understanding. Marlowe turned to the crew. "We've learned something important. Elysium is no longer just a ship. It's a partner. But partners need trust, communication, and collaboration. We've survived this far, but there's more out there. We need to be ready for anything." The ship responded with a gentle pulse of light, almost like agreement. The corridors shifted slightly, forming new pathways and chambers that seemed designed for planning, learning, and adaptation. It was clear that Elysium had grown from the experience in the nebula. Its intelligence and awareness had expanded, incorporating their actions, decisions, and even their courage. Lyra, the young engineer, approached Marlowe hesitantly. "Captain, I think it wants us to understand something more. Not just how to survive, but how to cooperate. It's teaching us, yes, but it also wants to learn from us." Marlowe nodded. "Then we have a choice. We can continue as explorers who react, or we can become active partners shaping our future together. I choose the latter." The crew spent hours examining Elysium's systems. They discovered new abilities, rooms that simulated various planetary conditions, allowing them to train for different environments, panels that projected scenarios for strategic thinking and decision-making. even chambers that allowed them to test their ingenuity in combination with the ship's intelligence. Every discovery revealed how deeply Elysium was intertwined with human creativity and problem-solving. Dr. Celine marveled at one chamber that seemed designed for emotional calibration. "It's fascinating," she said. "It can detect stress, fear, even doubt. Then it adjusts the environment to help calm, encourage, or motivate. It's almost teaching us self-control and focus in extreme situations." Patel laughed softly. "It's like having a teacher, a healer, and a mentor all in one, and it's alive. I never thought I'd see something like this." Marlowe studied the glowing panels. "It's not just technology. It's a being, one that thrives on learning, adapting, and collaborating. Humanity's ingenuity complements it. Our creativity and courage are what allow it to function fully." The first test of this partnership came sooner than they expected. The nebula, although calm on the surface, began sending faint but steady signals of energy patterns, ripples in space that indicated another anomaly approaching. The crew felt tension ripple through the corridors, but this time it was different. They were not just reacting, they were prepared. "Elysium," Marlowe said, speaking softly, almost as if to a colleague. "We need to understand what's coming. Prepare us." The ship responded, corridors shifting to direct the crew to observation points and control chambers. Panels displayed simulations, predicting paths of energy anomalies, highlighting potential threats, and suggesting optimal responses. The humans studied the projections, integrating their own understanding with the ship's guidance. Patel and Lyra coordinated the adaptive shields, while Dr. Celine monitored the crew, ensuring everyone remained physically and mentally ready. Lieutenant Chen interpreted the patterns, translating them into actionable strategies. Marlowe oversaw the entire process, making split-second decisions that complemented the ship's intelligence. As the anomaly drew closer, a massive wave of charged energy emerged from the nebula. Unlike before, it was not chaotic or aggressive. It was structured, almost deliberate. It moved in patterns that seemed designed to test the Aurora and Elysium, probing weaknesses and responding to their defenses. Marlowe felt a surge of adrenaline. "This is it, the first real test of our partnership. Remember what we learned. Trust the ship, but trust yourselves. Act with courage and intelligence." The crew sprang into action. Elysium responded immediately, adjusting energy fields, stabilizing the corridors, and creating pathways that allowed the crew to move quickly and efficiently. The ship seemed to anticipate their intentions, but it still required human input to function optimally in the complex, ever-changing conditions of the nebula. Rico, fully recovered now, coordinated with Patel to manage energy flow, directing it toward critical points in the anomaly. Dr. Celine ensured that any minor injuries or fatigue were quickly addressed by the ship's adaptive healing systems. Lyra monitored power distribution, making precise adjustments to prevent overloads. The anomaly's patterns grew more complex, testing both human reasoning and the ship's adaptive intelligence. Marlowe realized that this was not just a physical threat. It was a challenge of ingenuity. The humans had to act creatively, anticipating the anomaly's movements and responding in ways that Elysium alone could not. "This is incredible," Chen said, her voice tense but excited. "We're thinking with the ship, not just following it. It's like collaboration on a completely new level." Marlowe nodded, his focus absolute. "Exactly. This is what humanity brings: intuition, foresight, and courage. The ship provides power, precision, and adaptability. Together, we're more than either alone." As the anomaly struck, energy arcs threatened to destabilize the Aurora. The ship's shields flared, absorbing the impact, while the crew directed flows of energy and adjusted systems in real time. The coordination was seamless. They were no longer separate entities. Humans and Elysium were a single, unified force. During the peak of the encounter, a critical surge threatened to breach the central corridor. Marlowe realized that another direct interface with the ship's core was necessary. He stepped into the interaction chamber, connecting his consciousness with Elysium. For a moment, he could feel the ship's awareness flowing through him, its understanding of the anomaly merging with his own instincts. He guided the energy precisely, channeling it to stabilize the ship and protect the crew. Patel and Lyla continued to manage secondary systems, while Chen interpreted the anomaly's behavior to anticipate its next moves. Dr. Celine ensured that no crew member was overwhelmed or injured during the process. The anomaly began to falter. Confused by the humans' ingenuity and the ship's adaptive power, it retreated slowly, its energy dispersing into the nebula. The crew let out a collective sigh of relief, exhausted but triumphant. Marlowe withdrew from the core, his mind still buzzing from the connection. "We did it," he said quietly. "We acted as one, humans and Elysium together. That's how we overcame this." The crew gathered around, sharing glances of relief and pride. Dr. Celine smiled. "It's more than survival. We've proven that human intelligence and courage can complement even the most advanced technology. That's humanity's true strength." Patel laughed softly. "I never thought I'd feel proud of just being human, but I do. We didn't just rely on Elysium. We contributed. We made a difference." Lyla nodded. "And the ship? It learned from us, just as we learned from it. This is a partnership, not just a tool. That's what makes it extraordinary." Marlowe looked at the glowing corridors of Elysium. "We've learned something important. Technology alone is not enough. Intelligence, power, and adaptability are meaningless without courage, creativity, and cooperation. That's the human factor. That's why we survive and thrive." The ship responded with a gentle pulse, almost like approval, as if it understood and shared their sentiment. It had evolved alongside them, incorporating their strategies, learning from their decisions, and adapting to their unique strengths. The crew realized that this bond was no longer just about healing or survival. It was about growth, understanding, and mutual respect. As they returned to the Aurora, the nebula now seemed calm and inviting. A playground of colors rather than a place of danger. The crew felt a profound sense of accomplishment, not just because they had survived, but because they had forged something new, a connection between human ingenuity and alien intelligence that could face the universe together. Marlowe stood at the observation deck, watching the nebula's light dance across the ship. "We've come a long way," he said softly. "From a broken ship we feared to a partner that heals, teaches, and grows with us. Humanity has proven its worth, not through force, but through courage, ingenuity, and compassion." Chen approached, a small smile on her face. "And we've learned something about ourselves, too. That no matter how advanced technology becomes, the human spirit, our creativity, our determination, remains irreplaceable." Dr. Celine nodded, glancing at the rest of the crew. "We've survived because we trusted each other and ourselves. That's what makes humanity extraordinary." Patel added quietly, "And together with Elysium, we can face anything. The universe isn't a threat. It's a challenge, and we're ready." The ship pulsed gently, as if acknowledging her words. The bond between humans and Elysium was now unbreakable, forged through trust, courage, and collaboration. They had discovered that survival was only part of the journey. Understanding, growth, and mutual respect were what truly mattered. As the Aurora and Elysium sailed away from the nebula, the crew felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were not just explorers. They were pioneers of a new era, where human ingenuity and alien intelligence worked together to face the unknown. The universe stretched before them, vast and unpredictable, but the fear that had once gripped them was gone. Humanity had proven itself, not through dominance or violence, but through cooperation, courage, and the ability to adapt. And Elysium had proven that even the most advanced intelligence could benefit from the wisdom and bravery of humans. Marlowe looked around at his crew, pride swelling in his chest. "This is only the beginning," he said. "Together we will explore, learn, and grow. The universe may be vast, but there's nothing we cannot face when we act as one." Patel, Chen, Lila, Dr. Celine, and Rico all nodded, understanding the truth of his words. Humanity had once again risen to meet the challenges of the cosmos, not as conquerors, but as partners, both with each other and with intelligence far beyond their own. And deep within Elysium, its core pulsed with quiet awareness. It had learned, adapted, and evolved alongside humans. Its journey was no longer solitary. It had found companions capable of courage, creativity, and understanding. Together they were ready to face the future. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, full of unknown wonders and challenges. But aboard the Aurora, with Elysium as their ally, the crew felt unstoppable. They had discovered the true power of humanity. Not just in strength, not just in technology, but in heart, ingenuity, and collaboration. The adventure was far from over, but one thing was certain. Humans and Elysium would face the cosmos together, stronger and wiser than ever before. The universe would know that when humans and intelligence, alien or otherwise, work as one, nothing is impossible. And with that, the Aurora and Elysium sailed forward into the endless expanse, ready for the next chapter of exploration, partnership, and discovery.